All right, guys, welcome back to the shack. Today we're going to be going over this guy right here. This is the Ohmtech Polar Plus. It's Ohmtech's latest release of their Polar series. About a year or so ago, they released the Polar 350, which was very similar to this machine, but this one's got some upgrades and advantages over that one. And so they sent it out to me to try out, and guys, we've been running it through the paces. So if you're interested in to see what I have discovered about the machine and where I stand on it, stick around, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so I'm not going to get a whole lot into the nerdy bits about the machine, but what I will tell you is it is a water-cooled with an internal chiller or cooler, whichever you want to call it, 55-watt CO2. So this machine is comparable and competitive with, say, the Xtool P2, the AtomStack Hurricane, Glowforges. It's actually a little more powerful than the Glowforges. There's several brands, and this machine would fall into that category of desktop CO2 machines, being that they're made to be set on top of a table or on top of a desk, and they're pretty much self-contained with the chiller built into them, air assist built in, exhaust is built in, all that stuff. So you get a compact machine. This one has a 12 by 20 working area. Most of the desktop CO2s are really close to that. A lot of them are a little smaller. This is actually one of the larger ones that I've had here in the shop as far as the work area, with it being the full 12 by 20. So you sacrifice a little bit of a work area, but you get a compact in a box one machine that does pretty much has all the things built into it. Now, I will tell you this, the word portable does not go with desktop CO2 machines. So if you're looking for a portable machine, this is not your dude, okay? Unless you are a professional weightlifter, strongman, competitor, then maybe it would be portable. But this machine right here weighs in a little over 100 pounds as it sits here. And it's an awkward 100 pounds because it's 40 something inches wide, 20 something inches deep, and so it's that awkward 140 so pounds that you don't want to be moving it around. Not to mention it is very delicate and it would really be terrible to drop it. So with that being said, I'm going to move you over here a little bit closer. We're going to go around the outside of it, the looks, the curb appeal of the machine, and then we're going to get into what it's capable of and where I think it lands in the world of hobby laser engraving, CNC business type stuff, and see some testing I've done. So let's move over and check it out. Okay, I would like to add that these little blue feet that are underneath the machine, I 3D printed those to give myself a little bit of my countertop back, as well as to give that void in the center a little more depth. So if you noticed my little blue feet, those do not come with it. It has some little white feet on there that are probably about 1 inch thick, but I 3D printed these guys to sit underneath there and kind of lock into those, and that gives me a little more elevation. So the way that you get in here to clean everything out, first of all, the machine is fully enclosed and it has seals almost everywhere. I will say that as far as being sealed up goes, this is probably one of the best jobs of any machine I've had in my shop of it actually being sealed. There's very little leakage of air, and what little bit of gaps there are, when the fan is running, it provides air input for the exhaust. And this thing, I have done acrylics, tumblers, basswood, all the smelly stuff in here, except for leather. Haven't done leather yet. And it contains it really, really well. So there's that. Once you open it up, this is a little crumb tray. And this is actually a pretty nifty crumb tray because it's easy to pull out empty. You don't have to remove the honeycomb if you don't want. You can just dump it like this. The honeycomb, I will say they did a pretty good job with this machine of creating a machine that you can use to batch things out fairly easy. A lock that would hold the honeycomb to keep it from sliding out would have improved it slightly, but the honeycomb slides in this little track, presses up against the back of the machine, and it's more or less there. The only movement that is possible is for it to come back this way. So it's doable. Once you move the honeycomb, take the honeycomb out, that exposes the base of the machine. And in the base of the machine, there's this opening right here. This was a bit of a letdown for me. I was hoping for more of a pass through to the bottom, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So under here, this opening, you only have About 13 3/4 inches that way, and 8 1/4 inches that way. So that's not a very big pass through. Like if you had a larger object and you wanted to sit it underneath it and try to engrave it. So I think you're probably going to be out of luck on trying to do that with this machine unless it's something really small, like maybe like a little jewelry box or something like that. You could put you a little lab jack under there, set it on top of it, and lift it up and down and do that. But it's going to have to be small enough to come up through this hole because the module is not going to go down far enough to reach down below the machine. So if you're planning on doing larger stuff with the machine, just know that this is going to be something that you're going to have to contend with. When you're swapping this thing over into rotary mode, there's a couple of things. One of the things that they did is it's a little hinky to me. I wish they'd have done it a little differently, but for whatever reason they didn't. When you take the base plate out, the book tells you when you install the rotary to push these limit switches in and slide this little piece of metal over in front of the limit switches to hold them back. Now, it wouldn't have been too hard for them to added another, like a disable switch to disable these limit switches and basically bypass them while the rotary was enabled. And it seems to me if they had like a double pole switch over here where you flip the y-axis from one to the other, if they'd used a double pole switch instead of a single pole switch, you could have in essence swapped from standard to rotary and disabled these with one flip of the switch, because this little piece of metal that traps these, although that works, it seems a little rigged, and it would have been like literally pennies probably to change the way that works and use a different switch. So it's kind of a burr in my saddle on that, but other than that, it works fine. You'll notice that the machine is locked as long as this machine is set to standard. If I flip the switch for the rotary, now it disables the y-axis, and there's a plug back here in the back, and it's in the manual. It's not that hard to miss. Then the plug in the back here where the chuck plugs in. So you can freely move this as long as you have it in rotary mode, but then you push it back to the back, flip it back to standard, and now your gantry, your y-axis is back to moving. Automatic focus, all those good things are out here where you can use them. You can save files to the machine and send them from the offline controller. Lots of cool features with the offline controller that I didn't think I would like, but I actually do. So once you're going back from rotary mode, you can, and I'll do a video on the actual rotary stuff itself. You flip those guys back to release these safety switches. Then we're going to put the OhmTech honeycomb back in there. And like I said, this is a nice honeycomb too. They didn't skimp out on the honeycomb. That's a beefy honeycomb. I think it'll do a really good job, especially considering the size of the work area. You're not gonna hurt that thing under normal circumstances. And then you just slide this little tray back in there, and bam, you're good to go. Close that lid, fully enclosed once again. The only caveat I will say is when you're doing rotary mode, there isn't anything in this hole where the crumb tray goes. I cut a little piece of wood and was going to put one in there, but I was like, when I'm doing tumblers, it's not that big of a deal because it'll smoke a whole lot. The machine did a good job of keeping the odor out of the room, so for now, we're just rocking it like it is. All right, I did want to mention too before we go, they do send you quite a bit of extra stuff. It comes with an extra nozzle with lenses, air assist connector. You've got these cool little gauges for setting the focus if you need it. I use the autofocus, so it's not required. You got some extra fuses and these extra O-rings, which I'm assuming are for the rotary, because there's like 3 O-rings or 2 O-rings on each wheel. Those are basically just friction enhancing materials to kind of help it grip the cup as it turns. So you get 2 different rotaries with the machine. This one is the wider of the 2. This is the one that you're going to use for most typical tumblers, unless you have the skinnies or something. But it does come with 2, and they're basically, if you look at this hole here, the other one that they send with it is if you move this over to there. That's really all it is, and then move this over to there. It's the same exact rotary. That was just configured a little different. So So that's this is not the worst design I've ever seen. It does have this cool little like scissor lift attachment on the end. It comes in really handy for leveling the tumblers. The one gripe that I do have is they literally made this cable exactly long enough. I mean, they could have given us a couple more inches of cabling, because it puts a little tension the way that I'm running mine. To get those bigger tumblers in there, you have to lower the rotary down, and so it gets a little more tension on this connector than what I want. But I do plan to fashion myself an extension to add to here on this end of the cable. I'm just going to make myself a little plug-in extension from some cables that I have laying around, and go from there. But all in all, I've been using this to do a bunch of tumblers, and so far it's done a really good job. All right, so that's enough yapping about the machine. And as you can see, guys, I would like to reiterate, I've made these legs, so those do not come with it. But we're going to turn that thing off to get rid of that noise. Now, this machine, it is a bit bigger than your diodes. A lot more going on with the machine. Cooling the water for the tube and all that, it is a little noisier. So if you're, if you have an issue with noise, it's going to generate some. It's a pretty interesting tool, but it is a little noisy. So, material testing. I've tried lots of different stuff. It does a really good job at photographs, but I've got to find the right material. As you can see, photographs and material, so far I'm juggling the settings, and the material is just not playing well with the machine. So once I find the right material, I will make a really awesome photo with this thing, because the resolution is really, really good. So as we all know, wood, I mean, CO2s are great, excellent for wood. There's a little bit of a Clack Shack, like I think that's 1984. That's just a little black and white image from years gone by. One of my little test cards that I do, because it has, if you look, it does have like some pretty good detail in the photograph, and so I like to try to use it just to gauge how well a machine can do with photos. And it done exceptionally well, especially seeing how it's a 55 watt CO2. But wood's not really what everybody always wants to know about a CO2, and it's not the main driving reason for folks to get a CO2. It's this stuff: clear acrylic, acrylics, glass, no marking spray required with the CO2. The CO2 does an excellent job of engraving clear acrylic. I made some Christmas ornaments, which it's almost Christmas here, so maybe this may be a next year's tree ornament, but I made some Christmas ornaments out of clear acrylic, and as you can see, detail is really good with this stuff, and it just does a great job. You get the white frosting on the acrylic without any effort, without any spray. It makes cleanup so much nicer, and you can cut this stuff, and I don't know that you're going to be able to see it, guys, but you can cut, the edges are really smooth. It doesn't leave jagged edges. I mean, yes, you're going to have some ripples, not bad, but you're going to have some. But that is the way a laser works, is it's moving in two axes. So it moves this way and then this way and then this way. So some controllers, some stepper motor combinations, it's going to be more predominant, but with this machine, it's not that predominant. It's very, very clean cut, looks good, and I'm very pleased with it. I've seen much worse of the little edges being a little potato chipped, so to speak, around through there because of steppers. I've seen much, much worse. And the slower you go, the more roundness you can get in these edges. So I have found that with other machines as well. But I've conducted tons and tons of wood tests, guys, and we're not going to sit here and go over every single one of them, because you too are going to be like me. When you get this machine, you're going to start ripping through materials and seeing what it can do. And so here's some 3mm basswood. I've done all of these materials, and it's a 55 watt CO2, guys. You can expect from it what you can expect from most any 55 watt CO2. The build quality of this machine, I will say, a lot less plastic than what's on most of the machines that I've tested in my shop. It's sealed up a lot better. So if you're one of those folks that's concerned about the smoke and ventilation, it's sealed up a lot better. It comes with a fan that is a monster, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. But did a little engrave for my friend over at Ventari's Workshop on it. Nice, clean, deep engravings. The biggest thing that you'll find with a CO2 machine is you have to work a little harder to get that dark engraving than you do with a blue diode. A blue diode gives you that scorched, burned look more easily than a CO2 does, but you can get it. So 1/4 inch poplar, cutting it really well. 1/4 inch oak, dropping it, no problems with that either. I'm running these hardwood pieces, I'm running 90% power, 7 millimeters a second, and dropping it. And I will tell you before anybody hits me up about it, yes, I have confirmed with this machine in the back end of the software, they have it throttled at 75%. So all you guys that are like, oh, you can't run that above 75%. Well, not with this machine specifically. I have went into the controller settings and I have looked, and where the RPM value or the laser value inside the controller is set at, they've got it set to run a maximum output of 75%. So if you only run 75% in Lightburn, you're going to be running 75% of 75%. So no need to do that. They have taken precautions for you, and 100% basically with this machine means you're using 75% of its capable output. So before anybody starts jumping on me about that with the 100% stuff, I checked as soon as I got it up and going, and that is the case. This machine is already set up for you in the controller, and it won't let you run it 100% unless you change it. So some more engraving. This is the True Flat material that I've been using lately for some of my projects, and I kind of like it, so I went ahead and done some tests on it to get all of my settings. And I'm going to be taking all of these materials and we'll be putting them in my library for my material library. And I did a little bit of an interval test just to give you guys an idea, and it does a really, really good job. I think the smoothest results that I'm getting without a whole lot of just over depth is going to be somewhere around 0.14 to 0.15. Seems to be where it's giving a good brown finish. It's doing a good engrave, but it's not digging really, really deep. So, but throughout the spectrum of what I would normally run, it's doing a good job. I can't complain. All in all, so far, the machine has performed really, really well. Now, this is something that caught me off guard that I wasn't expecting with this machine. And if you're setting it up to where you've got a long way to go to vent your machine, then this is probably something you're going to be pretty impressed with. This machine comes with this massive 5 and 6 inch fan. This thing could be a leaf blower. And even cooler than that, it comes with this remote, which I'm a little upset that I don't have a need for it, because this is a really nice setup. The remote has, a timer. You can set it to where it stays on for so long. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. I mean, and it's wireless, and it works really, really well. But with my setup and where I have it sitting, the hose literally goes out the middle of the machine. It goes over to the right about a foot and out through the wall. So I have no need for this. The internal fan that it has inside it is doing more than adequate at pushing all the odors outside. So I don't need this, but if you did need a fan, just know, do not buy one extra if you buy this machine. It comes with this monster here, the adapters. You can see there's the duct reducer that I've got on here. This is like a 5 inch opening, and this is like a 6 inch opening on this end. So it's a massive, massive fan. You could put this near the exit, and that way, but I will tell you this though, this thing is going to be moving some air. So just know that your HVAC system, if you're venting outside, it's going to be possibly could affect the effectiveness of your HVAC, because this is a lot of air to be throwing out a window at one time. All right, so the machine came really well packaged, guys, and I'm going to drop some video up here, kind of walk you through along the way. It was in a big crate, and I did have to meet the truck down on the road. They shipped it by freight by way of an 18-wheeler, so be considerate of that. as well as the date that it shows up, unless you have access to a forklift or something similar, or you're, like I said, one of the world's strongest men or some type of weightlifting competitor. You're probably going to want to bring a friend along to help you not get in any positions to where you're going to be needing, to go see your chiropractor or your back doctor afterwards. It was kind of heavy, but me and my buddy Bill got it into the building. We got it set up. Unboxing it wasn't tough. Everything was well packaged. I do like the fact that it's in the crate because it was very well protected. The crate on the outside had a few bangs, a couple of dents, but it didn't penetrate inside the machine. They also included those cool bright orange pieces of strap webbing to use to lift the machine up out of the box and get it onto the table. That was a lot easier than trying to reach in and grab under the machine. So very thoughtful on them, on their part for that. But so far, guys, I've done a lot of testing. I've done a lot of playing around with the machine. I've done a few little personal projects of my own. And so far, it is running really, really well. Like I said, there are some rooms for improvement, in my opinion, but no one laser is going to make me 100% happy. I have not found it yet, if it exists. But I do like the results I'm getting with the machine so far. So I will be dropping links down below to OMTech. They did send the machine out for me to review, and those will be affiliate links down in the description. But I'm going to keep making content with it, keep using it, guys, and I'll let you know what I think. And hopefully we can get another video out pretty soon. So until next time, guys, be safe. Have a good day.